Hello YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Kevin and this is the Red Pilled American. So there was some news a couple days ago about Joe Biden. And Joe Biden has been diagnosed with cancer. Um, in regards to health, no one's surprised that he's unhealthy and was not well during his presidency, but they suddenly diagnosed him with cancer, which has already sparked a lot of conspiracy already. But um, so this is what's reported. Last week, former President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms on Friday. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, which is metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The president and his family are reviewing treatment options with his physicians. Yeah, I'm hearing that it has spread so much and it's so deep into his bones that basically it's no longer curable, only treatable. So, um, you know, seems Biden's life is kind of winding down, and it's more, how long will they keep up treatment? And if they decide to no longer do treatment, he may not be around much longer. Now, a lot of I'm not the kind of person to ever wish cancer on anybody, and I am seeing a lot of nasty, hateful comments on X and stuff. But that's not me. Cancer is personal to me since I've had family that have had cancer, and cancer is serious. So it's personal to me, and it's no joke, no matter who it is. And I'd wish it on nobody. It's the process is not good, and I hope I never get it. I hope my wife never gets it. Hope my other families that haven't gotten it never gets it. I hope, like my grandmother, my mom, my good friends, I hope they never get it. So, but I have some family, my aunt and my cousin, that have had it, and it was pretty aggressive, but by God's grace, he healed them, and for now is doing fine. So I'm grateful for that. But so yes, it's personal, and I do not again wish that on anybody, even people you hate. We're supposed to pray for our enemies, and love our enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So you might see Biden, if you're a Christian, if you're a conservative, you might see Biden as an enemy, but guess what? God calls us to pray for them, so that's what we do, and love them. So, as Christ loved us, as Jesus says, for while we were still enemies, he died for us. So, that's so. Anyway, so no, I do not like the comments and from conservatives. Come on, you're better than that. Don't be like that. That's not. So for Christians, you should know better, and for conservatives, come on. No, don't. Be classy, as I say. Stay classy. But with that being said, it is a tragic. Once again, it's a tragic. There's not much more to say than that. And the thing is, I don't, there's a lot of conspiracies already going, and I don't know if it's really a conspiracy, though, because it's everything we've kind of been talking about. Biden was not okay, and he should not have even ran his first time, and the fact that they've now admit he has cancer, and it's to a point where it's no longer curable. It's so deep I mean, this guy almost could have been president for another term. I mean, God delivered us from this, because this is bad. So yeah, I am with a lot of people. I do not think this was a sudden finding. This, was a, this, they lied about this for years, and, they told us that he was just fine health-wise, and, that he was mentally competent, and he's not. And sounds like, you wonder, now there's a lot of take that they knew he had cancer, but either lied about it or they withheld it, which is lying, so he could be president, so they can use him for whatever they need. So it's, there's a chance he had cancer for years now, but they're just now reporting it, because there's no way he has cancer, this type of cancer, suddenly like this. And plus, prostate cancer is one of the easiest cancers to find. In fact, my grandfather actually was briefly had prostate for brief, but they caught it, and he never spread. So, and this, again, these are doctors. These are trained doctors. I mean, the president gets the best doctors. So, do you tell me they accidentally missed prostate cancer all this time? Come on. So this guy, I get he's a doctor. He goes by Dr. Stephen, I think, Quay, here on X. Prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts, and to watch it progress to bone metastasis. The PSA blood tests showed the rate of cancer cell growth for even the most aggressive form is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic, meaning it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease, metastatic disease in May 2025. It is highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his White House tenure, and American people were uninformed. Exactly. They knew that he was sick, and I think the doctor needs to be withheld. If the doctor knowingly withheld this from the public, he's not only a bad doctor, but it sounded like the doctor lied about his conditions, because he said he was fine. You're gonna tell me he just happened to miss prostate cancer? Come on. Plus, he's at an age where that's one thing they check. So I think it's baloney, and it's unfortunate. And I think the media's now just reporting this because they no longer need him anymore, so they don't have a problem it being revealed out there. But some people think that he doesn't have cancer. He actually has dementia, which they think the cancer is just a cover-up. But here's the thing. I think he has both, actually. I think he has both. He's mentally out of it. He's not competent anymore. He doesn't remember things. He can't even remember the simplest things. And, now I don't know. He has a terminal cancer now. So, and like I said, I heard it's not curable, and the only way he can live at this point is he has to live the rest of his life through treatment. So, this is sad. This is sad, because this means he was used as a pawn for the ruling class benefit, only to someone they can control under their expense in their worst state, where they were literally sick. And not only that, they wanted to run him again for another 4 years. These people are evil, and they have no limits. They have no limits for power, that they'll use somebody else And in fact, his wife's the worst because Jill Biden allowed this to happen because she's so power hungry herself. She allowed her husband to be humiliated, embarrassed, make him look like a fool, made him, you know, watched his husband be used as a pawn while he was sick and also not mentally there. I mean, she's an awful wife. So I don't know. But yeah, there's, like I said, there's a lot of not the best comments towards Joe Biden by a lot of people on the right and even some far left people, but especially on the Trump side, do not like Biden and don't really feel sympathy because they see him as an evil man, and he did a lot of problems for the right during his tenure. So there's a lot of people who don't want to forgive him, and I can understand that. But I'm going to be the bigger person. So here's the thing. I believe Biden is a horrible human being. I believe he's a crook. I believe he's a pedo. I believe just not a good person. And I believe, he's a tyrant. But also, a guy that's not all there either. Remember, he was controlled. Because just 10 years ago, this was just a Biden 10 years ago, he'd be a lot different, I think. But still, this guy's done a lot of terrible things in his life. Terrible father. But I do pray for his repentance. If you're getting to a point where he's coming to the end of his life, I hope he comes to repentance. He was brought up Catholic, Christian. They're a Christian. So I hope, hope repentance comes and this is a reality check for him for his own eternity. But I almost feel bad for him, though. You kind of almost have to, because he's a pawn. He doesn't know what's happening. He never knew what was happening. And, as bad as of a person he was also a pawn that was just there for the ride so bad that basically the Department of Justice and the FBI, Merrick Garland, Mayorkas, went rogue and did whatever they wanted to, like harassing Americans while this guy was incompetent and this guy was senile. They took advantage of his senileness and they did whatever they wanted under him because they knew they could, because he wasn't there to notice, really. He didn't know what was happening. So it's sad. So I don't have much else to say. I mean, I do, keep him in your prayers. I pray for prayers. I mean, I do pray for him, for possible healing on him. And, if it's God's will that he be healed, but hopefully they can, if they can find a treatment that can work for him for now, that can, he can, I guess, somewhat live, I guess. I don't know. He's elite, so he probably can afford the treatment. So they probably won't be a problem for him to be able to afford one. But so I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have really to say. But it's a real tragedy, and the media needs to be held accountable because they lied to us again. They lied to us about his senileness, and they try to run him. And it's the scandal of the ages, I think. And they continue it too. And just the fact that they're reporting this, they're trying to pretend they didn't know this, and they did. That's what's evil about this. The media can never be trusted again. So, anyway, that's all I have here for today, for now. So, if you like this video, please like. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell notifications. The Red Pilled American, out.